everyone, this is Sandra at Spirit of Avalon. So I thought I would try to do the Garden Arcana hashtag that Candy over at Candy Soul and Soil and Thea at Garden Goddess Tarot have been doing. So this is actually my mum's garden, where I am filming this at the moment because she's got like more plants and things available in the garden. So in this video we're going to be doing the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess and the Empress. And for the Fool, I thought I would choose this gorse bush, mainly because if you look at the yellow flowers, it reminds me of the RWS card of the Fool. In the traditional RWS, you think of that bright yellow background on the card, and I just thought of that, the bright yellow that you can see here. And also I thought, well, there's some quite wicked thorns on gorse, so you'd have to be foolhardy to put your hands in there. So I thought it might be perfect for the Fool. You see this bright yellow is almost exactly like the yellow of the Fool card in the RWS. So yeah, and maybe our Fool would try to push his way through this bush, who knows, maybe he would have to for some reason, maybe to get where he's going, you know. But it was mainly the colour that attracted me to this for the Fool. So yeah, so that is our Fool card, and then we're going to go around the back because this is where our Magician is going to be. So I'll just take you around here. And the garden is a little bit of a mess at the moment because my brother does a lot of the sort of like lawn and things. I do some weeding and stuff, but it does need quite a lot of weeding and the grass needs cutting, as you can see there. But this is our Magician, or what I thought would be good for the Magician is this lovely rosemary that my dad planted. There's one here and one around the front garden, and I just thought the amount of things you can do with rosemary. You know how we have like the Magician with all his tools, and in the rosemary it's like having lots of tools because there's lots of things you can do. You can use it in cooking, you can use it in spell work, you can make like smudge bundles with it, and you know, we've got this new growth going on here with this one at the moment, and you see the little tiny flowers that are sort of a bluey mauvey colour. Well, those reminded me, you know how on the Magician card, again in the RWS because that's what I'm more familiar with, you've got like the roses and flowers going around. So this kind of reminded me of that, the flowers in the Magician card as well. And I just think it is just a magical herb and has lots of uses, plus it smells amazing too. I really love the way it smells. That's why I can't help like touching it and just like smelling my fingers afterwards because it's just so nice. And it just came to me as the Magician, so I love it. And there is a thing, you know, about rosemary, that if there's rosemary growing at the front door, it denotes a witch living there. And my dad put one near the front door, so I think my dad kind of knew about things and might have known a bit more than I thought he did about certain things. Anyway, let's go back now to the front garden. I know this is taking you all over the place, guys, but our next card is the High Priestess, and you'll see when we get round the front here, just move the camera up, you see the two trees there? Those are two acacia trees that grew, that my dad grew. I don't know if he meant to grow them or they seeded themselves or something, but you see they look like the two pillars either side of the High Priestess in the High Priestess card. So as soon as I saw those, I thought, yes, High Priestess. And you know, with the acacia, it was kind of, I don't know that you'd say venerated, but the Hebrews and the ancient Egyptians saw it as something that was immortal or could be used for immortality, something like that anyway. But in any case, I just thought the two trees together were like the High Priestess. You could just imagine her sitting between these two trees, couldn't you? Be like a magical little space. It's also, again, these trees have got quite wicked thorns on them. Might be able to show you them. There you go. Yeah, so they're quite difficult when you're trying to cut them back and things, because they will pierce you if you're not careful. The amount of times I've had my fingers and thumbs and that pierced by thorns. But that was my reasoning for the High Priestess. And I know this is nowhere near going to be as good as Candy's or Thea's videos, because their plant knowledge and tree knowledge of it is much better than mine. So I just wanted to kind of join in with this. So that was my feeling for those. I can just almost picture the High Priestess just sitting there in between those two trees. So then we're going to move back to the back garden again, and our Empress. Now I'm not sure if I was supposed to do the Empress or not, but I'm going to anyway. So we're going to move back into here, and we're going to have a look at what I've chosen for the Empress, and that is going to be this honeysuckle up here. Can you see this, how amazing this looks with the flowers? And it's one of two that have been planted. My dad always planted them. When we were younger, we always had honeysuckles, irises and rosemary, always. And this just is so abundant. Look at the abundance of flowers on it. That makes me think of the Empress. And also the smell from the flowers is so lovely. That lovely sweet honeysuckle smell. And it just seems really feminine to me. It just seems like a really feminine plant. I've always looked at it as being like something female, if you want to give like a sex to plants and things. But the flowers are just so lovely, and I just thought, wow, it's the Empress, you know, the abundance of this in flowers and the feminine feel of it, you know, I really loved. Now the next part probably going to have to go inside for, and with that I will show you the cards. This is the other honeysuckle. It's not got as many flowers on it, but it's the other one that is planted. And I will see you soon for the next part of the video. Okay, so I'm back inside after having a look at the different plants to go with our different cards in the tarot. So as you know, I chose the gorse for the Fool, and you can see in the Fool card in the RWS this bright yellow, and that's what kind of drew me to that gorse bush, because I just thought of the bright yellow in the traditional like RWS, and I just thought bright yellow gorse. And also our Fool, you know, he could be he doesn't know exactly where this is going to take him. He could fall off the end of this cliff, or maybe he might not. And as I said, you'd kind of have to be a little bit foolhardy to touch the gorse, or to try to push your way through the gorse, because it has quite wicked thorns on it. But what if you had to? What if you had to push through somehow to get to somewhere? If you really had to, you know, would you do that? Would you push through those thorns in that gorse? But so as well as like having kind of these wicked thorns and kind of being a barrier, there's beauty to that gorse with the bright yellow. And although what I'm saying, I suppose, doesn't really go with the Fool in the traditional meanings and things, I've kind of looked at it a bit differently to the way Candy and Thea are, because I'm not so knowledgeable about plants and things. So I'm kind of joining in, but this might not be in the way that is expected, and it certainly won't be to the knowledge that Candy and Thea have. But so I matched the gorse with the Fool, the foolhardiness of trying to go through a very thorny bush, but also the main thing was the bright yellow on our Fool card. And just to show you a couple of other Fools. So here's our Fool here from the Universal Celtic, and you know, he's got a flower here. He's got like a foxglove flower for a hat and a mushroom. And our Fool from the Forest of Enchantment tarot. I say the Fool, but in this deck it doesn't strike me as like being the Fool. The White Heart is more, I'm going to lead you through the forest and see what we can find. Maybe we'll find a gorse bush somewhere, because gorse are the type of thing that they kind of almost will grow anywhere, so you never know. This Fool is from the Tarot of Mystical Moments, and this one is from the Herb Crafters Tarot, and I love this. See, again, we've got this bright yellow. So, and I knew I'd seen yellow in other cards as well as in the traditional RWS. So we have like the bright yellow here in these flowers in the middle, which are dandelion. So we've got that link again with that colour and tarot. So, oops, that was my choice for the Fool, which was the Gorse. Now, for the Magician, I chose Rosemary because, like the Magician, he's got all his tools around him that he can use. And the rosemary is a plant that you can use in many things and in many ways. So the rosemary is like having tools in front of you, or something that you can use as a tool and you can use in a magical way. You can use rosemary in spell work. You can use it in the normal way in cooking. You can have or make a rosemary smudge stick out of rosemary. There's many uses with rosemary, and for me, I love the smell of it as well. But so like the Magician having all the tools to create something, you can have that with the rosemary. You can create things with that plant. And I also thought that, he's got these roses or red flowers here and some white flowers, and the rosemary has had flowers on it. They're kind of going off now because the new growth is coming on the plant, the new green growth. So but it's had these small, very pale, bluey, mauvey type flowers on it. So that made me think of the flowers on the Magician card as well. And here's an alternative Magician. You see, he's doing some spell work there. Maybe he can use some rosemary. And the Enchanter, again, look, he's like manifesting or like growing something from almost from nothing. And in the back here we've got some leaves and plants hanging down. So he's probably got like bundles of herbs tied up, and you can do that with rosemary as well. You can tie them into bundles and dry them, and some people have them as well because they just like the smell, like I do. So just like hanging up bundles of rosemary is just nice as well. We have a Magician card from a Tarot of Mystical Moments, and we have the Magician from the Herb Crafters, which they've chosen a sunflower, which is lovely, and we've got all these little mini tools around it, things that you can use. Sunflowers in the middle, they have all these seed heads too. So that was my choice. I don't even know if this is making sense, guys, honestly. If this is awful, I don't need to do any more. If you think, no, stop, don't do any more garden arcana. So then we moved to the High Priestess, and I chose the 2 acacia trees that have grown in my mum's garden because they're 2 together, and straight away as soon as I saw them I just thought of the B&J columns in the High Priestess. And I know I'm kind of linking a lot of this a lot of these to the RWS because that's the system I use the most. Well, it's the one I use all the time. But I also like Pamela Coleman Smith's original artwork and depictions. So when I'm like looking at plants and trees and things in the garden, what comes to my mind is her original artwork. In some cases, other cards from other decks will come to mind, but as soon as I saw those two trees, I just thought High Priestess. And apparently acacia trees were revered in ancient Egyptian times, and also the ancient Hebrews revered them as well, as I think they looked at them to represent like immortality, something like that anyway. And here we have another High Priestess. So again, we've got two columns here. So this is the Universal Celtic, and we have the stone columns there represented. I love this one from the Forest of Enchantment, the Wise Woman as the High Priestess, and she's sitting by a tree. She's actually sitting there, and the tree is almost like her chair or her throne, and she's making magic under that tree. Maybe if you sat in between those acacia trees, maybe could make some magic. This one is again different, but we've got the two curtains which are like the two pillars, and this one gives a more kind of watery effect for the High Priestess there. So that's from the Tarot of Mystical Moments. And then we have the High Priestess from the Herb Crafters, which is mugwort. I love mugwort. It's so good. It's such a magical herb. You can use it in like dream work and vision work, because it will open the third eye more. So it's magical, like the High Priestess herself. So yeah, so that's just different cards showing different interpretations of the High Priestess, but I did think those acacia trees were perfect for that. And then now I'm not sure if I've got this right, whether I should have done the Empress in the next section, in the next video, or now. And I think it was now, but even if it's not, it's going to be now, because I chose for the Empress the honeysuckle. It's so abundant at this time, and again it makes me think of the feminine in a plant. Like I look at the honeysuckle and just think of it being a very feminine or female plant, and it has that lovely smell to it that's just kind of lovely, and it feels almost nurturing and homely and motherly. And I'm probably talking absolute rubbish, guys, but it's difficult to describe. And ever since I was a kid, we've always had honeysuckle, because my dad always grew honeysuckles. Those ones you saw were ones that he planted, and wherever we've lived, we've always had honeysuckle, always had irises, always had rosemary. So maybe that's why it feels like homely or like nurturing, like when you were a child and lived with your parents and depended on your mum or dad or whatever. And for me, it's got that like homely feel and nurturing feel to it. I mean, look at this High Priestess. So lovely. And look at our Green Mother. You see, very nurturing and abundant with all of this greenery. And at the moment, the honeysuckle is just full of blooms. It's just wonderful at the moment, a magical feeling. And our Empress from the Tarot of Mystical Moments, I love this Empress. It's like she's part flower herself. Look how her dress is like a flower. And these stems, I thought about this when I was looking at the honeysuckle, like the pieces that come out of the middle of the honeysuckle flowers are actually like this. And then we've got these lovely roses here too. So very flowery Empress here too, which I think matches well with my honeysuckle. And then on our Herb Crafters Tarot, we have the rose. So again, that's kind of matching with that. But here we have the old-fashioned style roses. There are, I'm not sure if they call them, I'm not sure if these are the ones they call dog rose. I might be wrong, guys, because I'm not completely up on plants and things. I'm sure Candy and Thea would know. But there are some of these at my mum's as well. And like I chose the honeysuckle, and here we have a honeycomb in the middle of this card. So there's that honey theme kind of almost going on with that. But anyway, guys, those are were my choices of plants and cards for this tag, which I don't know if I'm doing it really in the way it was intended to be done, but hopefully you might have enjoyed it. Let me know if you want me to carry on and do the second part, because I'm behind anyway. Candy and Thea have already done part 2, but let me know if you want me to carry on, or whether you think this was complete nonsense. Oh dear. Anyway, I hope you got some enjoyment from it, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye for now.